Hey everybody, it's Jack and Dan.
And today we're going to add some floating plants over here to Jack's bridge tanks in his room here. A plant that we've kind of been wanting for a little while to try called Azolla, right, man?
Yeah, other known as fairy moss or duckweed fern.
Yeah, it's kind of like duckweed, but it's a little different in the fact that it kind of grows in a little bit of a fern pattern.
It's a little bit bigger than duckweed, too.
Gets a little big. Well, there is like giant duckweed, and there's like frog bit, and there's other floating plants that are big. This one stays small, but it kind of looks like a fern. It's really cool. So check this out, guys. We're going to spin this around first. We're going to feed these guys. Parrots like this are cichlids, and they're mostly carnivorous, right? Mm-hmm. But sometimes they'll grab anything if they're hungry. And these guys are still growing. So we're going to feed them first. We don't want them to just grab it all and eat it. So we're going to feed them real first. We'll show you how the tank's doing here and everything. And then we're going to put this stuff in, show you what it looks like. All right, so we did some updates on Jack's bridge tanks. Pretty recently, we changed around the pumps and stuff. The pumps are working great. Everything's working great. The lights are working great. The parrots are growing. Jess is going to put a little bit in here. This is the kind of three-tiered aqua bridge system he has in his room here because they're at like different levels and stuff and everything like that. And so there's 80 gallons total. There's two 20 talls attached to a 40, just kind of like a 40 regular size tank. We have about 25-ish blue polars in here, and they are growing and doing awesome. Look at these guys. They're so cute. And so he's just kind of feeding them a little bit. And the Amazon swords, we put in these 20 talls. We did add more. I think we mentioned in the last video we did on this tank that when we were working on some stuff and when we got this other floating plant, that they just had a plant shipment come in, and he gave us 4 of these swords for like 16 bucks, $4 each, which is a pretty good deal. So the little one that we put in here in the middle wasn't doing amazing. It's still alive. It's doing okay. We decided to just add 3. We really want this tall tank to just fill up with these swords. Now, we're not going to be putting this Azolla in these end tanks yet. It may migrate here. It may end up getting here through the bridges. We're not exactly sure, but as of now, we're only really planning on putting it into this tank because this tank has an under gravel filter and that kind of thing. Now again, if it does fill up in here, we're gonna basically, the plan is to scoop it out and then use it for food in the pond, right?
Yeah.
So we have koi, we have comets, we have sargasso, we have shabunkin and turtles, and they will eat it like there's no tomorrow. So it'll reproduce fairly quickly. It only takes about 48 hours to double. It's almost like bacteria, the bacteria of plants, right?
Yeah.
So basically, our goal is to just, when it overgrows, pull it out and do that. Here's the other 20 end.
Pretty fast.
Yeah. We're going to go show you the pond here real quick, and then we'll show you. We have it in a bucket. We got about a pound of it for, I think it was only like $7. It was really cheap. And it's already started multiplying in the bucket just in a few days sitting over there. But this one's doing really good too. Just wanted to kind of show you these. These swords are doing really good. So spotlight on this one, spotlight on those, mini spotlights on the bridges. And if this does cover up too much and the light doesn't show through, obviously we can make some kind of a ring system so that the light will still shine through and stuff like that. I'd probably give those guys a little bit more. They're pretty hungry. They down that in like a matter of seconds. While you do that, I'm going to go out here and just kind of show over here by the pond, right down here. It's nighttime, so the lights are on in the pond. So we did not clean that lately. We just haven't cleaned it lately. And so it's a little algae, but we'll get to it. These guys are ready to eat, so that's why they're all. So basically what we would do is we would just dump it in here by the handful every day. This is one of the newer guys. Look how amazing he's doing. Wow. Love that guy. There's Kane, so she's ready to eat. So basically what we would do is we would just throw it in here and feed those guys. Now I'm going to turn the light on over here. And those kind of dark, kind of starting to become evening time. There's those tanks, beta tanks. They're doing fantastic over here. And so here's this stuff. It's called Azolla. I'm going to turn the light on. I've been kind of leaving this light on during the day to turn off at night. So you can see if you look really close at it, and see if I can get a real nice close-up of it. See how it kind of has the little ferny-looking things kind of coming off of it, kind of sparking off like a leaf or something, instead of just being a round little circle. So this was kind of covering this, and it's already kind of starting to pile up and mountain up and everything. So we're basically going to take this, we're going to scoop it into that middle tank, and we're going to see how it works out. it was super cheap and easy. And the other thing that's real nice about having a floating plant like this is it will actually kind of take the nutrients out. First of all, help remove some nitrates and all that, so you don't have to clean the tank as much, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, we have an under gravel filter in that middle tank, so ultimately it's kind of like if you start to put plants in there, it can mess up the filter, the roots can go down in there. So we thought this would be a good option, very inexpensive. And they're actually doing a lot of research on this that we were looking into about how this may become a superfood of the future, right?
Yeah, I'm good though. I don't think I'm gonna be eating that.
Well, they might be able to put it in smoothies or protein bars or
They find a
whatever.
way to turn that into like the candy or something. Maybe.
I think they can.
I'm good.
Spirulina, duckweed, they're actually one of the few foods, duckweed and varieties like this are actually incredibly high in B12. And many people have B12 deficiencies, especially in America. So this might be a good option. And if we take it and put it in our pond, it will help give these guys vitamins and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and take this in your room and let's take a look at it and put it in your tank, man. All right, Jack's got a big cup and he's just kind of easily scooping this out of the bucket and adding it. There, of course, is a little bit of dirt and some roots, and they'll go down in there, and ultimately they'll get cleaned up by the filter. It looks like these guys are kind of picking at it and eating it. But the idea is just to get as much in here as we can. Anything that we have left over, we're basically just going to dump in the pond because they'll just eat it like crazy. And it's actually feeding day, and they can't wait to eat, so we'll just put the rest in there. So the idea is to kind of have this whole tank on this side really full with this stuff. And we'll probably do an update, tomorrow, just to kind of show after everything has settled and everything. But yeah, I think it'll be a really neat thing. These guys are kind of going around picking at it and stuff. They don't seem too interested, though. For one thing, they just ate. And for another thing, you could see they try it, and then they're like, oh, these are plants. And they're really more carnivorous, so they're not that interested. Some of our big parrotfish, when we put the zucchinis in the tank for our plecos, sometimes they'll pick at it, and then they're like, these are vegetables, yuck. So anyway, we're going to get this over here. We'll come back and check on it either later tonight or tomorrow after it's all kind of settled and everything. Just kind of show you what it looks like. And we'll see what happens. Chances are it looks like it is kind of going to go through here and it will end up in the other tanks. Not necessarily minding if it gets in the other tanks. But again, if it blocks the light to these guys, we'll do some kind of a ring system or square or something where the light can kind of shine through. And then you got to have like a feeding ring too. So we'll do a little thing on that or whatever. Those are pretty easy to make and buy and whatever. All right, so we're just taking a little bit of this that's left and bringing it over here to the pond just to see how they like it. And they certainly do seem to just love it. So this will be cool if it multiplies. It'll kind of give us a constant little treat for these guys in the pond. Look at Blade, man. He's getting huge, dude.
So down there. And the other guys too. The other big guys.
The shabunkin. Look at this shabunkin. These guys are getting big. This is one of the guys we recently got. And then him too. And then this one here. Look at this guy. Wow. That's the one we got for like $3.50. At the end, kind of the beginning of winter, one of the guys that they just kind of had left that nobody bought. And so the pond section was closed at Best in Pets. Look at that beauty. Can't believe we got these guys for a couple bucks. Larry, of course, is checking it out. He's picking it a little bit, checking it out. So this is kind of cool. So we'll just kind of dump this in here periodically if we get too much in your tanks. There's another one of the newer ones there we got for super cheap at the end of the season. What's up, Larry? Larry's like, I like it. I like everything. There he goes. He just grabbed some. You can see it does kind of look like, let me take a little handful just to show you a little closer up. It's kind of hard to kind of focus on, but you can see there, it kind of looks like little ferns, like a little segment. A little bit different than duckweed. There's one right there at the tip of my thumb. You can see it looks kind of like a little miniature fern there. So, I don't know, we think it's kind of cool. We think it's kind of cute. We'll see how it goes. We're going to do a few things here tonight. We're going to follow back up with that tank either tonight or tomorrow just to kind of see what's going on. But I think these guys are going to love this whole idea, having this. And there was some tiny little snails that we saw floating around in your tank. So that's okay. We don't mind snails. We like them. if any get in here, I'm sure Larry will hunt them down and eat them no matter what, because he just loves them, don't you, Larry? And if a few survive in here, that's fine. I'm totally fine with there being snails in here, aren't you, man?
Yeah. Yeah, so those are pretty cool ones,
Yeah, I don't know that any will survive, though. I think these guys or Larry will eat them. He's just constantly on the hunt.
Which is also good, because snails, when they multiply, can be kind of bad sometimes.
Yeah. And if we get too much in your tank, we can always throw a clown loach in there for a day or two, and they'll just go around and eat them all. We keep them under control. We got plenty of clown loaches. All right, so we'll be back in a little bit here and check on how they're doing in Jack's tank and everything. We need to do a follow-up on this pond. I'll probably clean this week. I might even do a time-lapse video. I haven't really done that. Kind of clean this a little bit and just kind of see how the pond's doing. Maybe doing underwater feeding and stuff. It's really fun, but this is really doing fun. Really doing great and super fun having this. Love it. All right, guys, we're back. It's actually been a few days because we kind of had to tinker around with some things, which when we turn this around, we'll kind of show you. But in that few days when we've kind of been playing around and doing a little research on this, Jax was looking some really cool stuff up about this. What'd you find, man?
Well, yeah, so basically this also has another name called mosquito fern, because they kind of look like ferns really close up. And basically, in some parts of the world, it covers the water, and mosquitoes like to breed in the water, and they're really gross. So it prevents them.
They are,
and they spread a bunch of different diseases, of course.
Yeah.
And so this prevents them from entering the water.
It's kind of cool. So in places, not only in America, all around the world, they plant these kind of things. And they block that surface. And you said something about like 95% of mosquito breeding can be cut down. That's substantial. That's huge.
Yeah, there's still a lot of them now.
Maybe we'll put some of this out in our puddles and stuff in the spring when we get them out there, because we get a lot of mosquitoes back here in the woods. But anyway, it's kind of a cool natural way to deal with it, instead of poison and spraying stuff and everything like that. So anyway, kind of neat. We'll put some links in the description more about this. Let's flip this around though and show you what we came up with here. All right, so first off, Jack was kind of looking through the huge closet. We have this fish tank closet. We recently did a video on reorganizing it, and some of the things you found were some of these shells that have kind of been in there for a while, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool little guys here. This blue one's really cool, matches the sand. So I threw a couple of those guys in here, and then we put a couple in here with these guys in the back there, and then there's a couple in here. These are really cool ones here. I don't remember where we got those. Got them from somewhere. But anyway, so this side's working really good. That side's working really good. The crossover's working good, but we ran into a little bit of a problem because the under gravel filter here, these stacks were bubbling so much that it actually kind of disrupted the surface of the water, and this plant doesn't do so well if it's got a lot of disruption. So one of the things that we did is we turned them down. We don't really use this under gravel filter as the primary filter system, since the other two filters, are filtering here, and we have plants and everything. And of course, now we have these new plants to help. And you can see that the roots kind of are, reaching down on the top of the water and everything here. But a lot of them kind of just haven't spread well because of that. So here's what we did. The pump that we put on here, I want to say it's about a year ago. It's this little Higer pump. It's a cool pump, but it did run out of gas. I would say after just a few months, right? It really started getting pretty weak. Now, it does have a dial on it, and we did turn that dial up all the way, but it still was kind of weak. However, again, with the plants we had in here, we didn't really need it. We had all that pothos in here, and now we're starting to grow other plants, and we do have those other two filters. And even though there's like 20 of these fish in here, they're still really small. So we don't need a ton of filter flow, especially if this Azolla is going to start to spread. So here's what we do. We started kind of titrating that down and turning that dial down. So even though this pump really didn't do very well, it actually suits our need for this tank pretty good. Because a lot of people think that when you have an under gravel filter, you really need that air to be slamming through there, and you really don't. It just needs to just kind of be moving. So we're still going to titrate this one down a little bit more, but you can see over here that this started growing a little bit more back. It did kind of die back and start growing. And just these little holes here that are coming through from these air stacks and that's kind of what we wanted, and that'll kind of actually let some of the light through to inside down the back there. So I lost focus there. There we go. So ultimately, we're hoping that this does grow back. It already has started to. A lot of it kind of died off, and these guys are basically just eating it. And when you can see he just ate a brown piece there. They weren't really interested He's like, thanks. They weren't really interested in the green, but when it kind of died off and starts to fall, then they are grabbing it. So we are hoping that it will grow back. We think that it will. Now that we've turned this down, we're just going to keep it down. Hopefully this whole kind of biosystem with these going at a lower rate and having the swords and the crossover filter over there and the other filter over there, these at a low rate will work out well. And hopefully this pump will just last this way. We tried, this is actually when we redid this tank a while ago, we tried to, we cleaned it, we put a new little filter where the air goes, we always took the bicycle pump up to the tubes, right? So we took the bicycle pump.
Yeah, that's just easy to clear it.
Yeah, we put them on the tubes. We've done many videos on that where you put a bicycle pump on there and you just blow out the stone. And we did everything, and it still was pretty weak. So we're a little disappointed in the Hydra pump that they sent us. Again, it kind of pumped out about maybe 3 or 4 months into things. Didn't last very long. So we love the Hydra lights and everything, but not a huge fan of the pumps and some of the heaters and things like that. But we do love their lights, though. So anyway, thanks for the pump. It's not really as strong as someone probably would have wanted it to last. But anyway.
Yeah, those are just kind of it's just not, I don't think it's just that made to do that. Even though it's a pretty big one, I just don't think it's made to do that.
It just doesn't seem to have the power that you would want.
There's quad bubblers, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Blowers, it's kind of a lot of power that's needed.
But again, it's kind of what we need right now is a weak little pump. So, and if it was too strong, again, we could have just turned it down. We actually have it almost all the way up. It's only back a little bit. So, and you can see how weak it is. So even when we turn it up, it's not that powerful, but we want it really weak because we want this to grow in. So hopefully we'll just basically have like a couple little circles here where these pumps are coming up, and the rest of this will grow back here and here. But you can see that it does look pretty good. A lot of it has stayed green. We just had to turn the ferocious bubblers down a little bit, and hopefully they'll kind of eat off the dead ones here, and the green ones will, come into play here. Let me see if I can get like a nice, you can see how it really looks good when it focuses in on there. Nice green, awesome, ferny looking little guys there. Isn't that cool? They are pretty. So hopefully we'll do another follow-up here after things are going along for a while, but wanted to do, just like a little thing here, ending for the video, show everybody what was going on with the bridge tanks and some of the things we added and what was going on with the Hydra pump and everything else. So I think it's cool. I think this will probably fill back in here in another few days or so. We'll probably do a follow-up video just kind of showing it and showing what's going on in here and everything like that. But so far it does seem like it's doing pretty good, and that it's probably going to work out after we made those changes. So hey, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Have an awesome day. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.